HOMO QUANTUS by Razmik Barsegyan. HOMO QUANTUS. The last man on earth sat alone in a room. There was a knock on the door. Fredric Brown. The last Homo sapiens sat in his home. There was a knock on the door. It all began long ago, a very long time ago. Man was exiled from paradise. He reconciled with the hardships of planet Earth, multiplied, and spread across the entire globe. Nations and races were born, forming civilizations that grew, flourished, and vanished, yielding to the next in line. And so it went for centuries upon centuries. What unfolded in the 21st century was fundamentally divergent from all that had preceded it. At the time, no one realized that a qualitatively new civilization was emerging, the quantum civilization. Like all those before it, its dawn broke during the sunset of the previous era, shrouded in the veil of destruction and warfare. During those years, local conflicts tore the world to shreds. One part of humanity was occupied with obliterating the remnants of the former civilization, while the other amassed plundered wealth, indulging in a purely animalistic existence. To many, it appeared to be merely another redistribution of spheres of influence, natural resources, and logistical routes. That was present, of course, but it was a life and death struggle between globalist and separatist ideologies, a struggle between two distinct types of humans. The old humans fought to preserve their faith, national identity, language, religion, and country. Meanwhile, the new breed of human cast everything into the abyss, bowing only before a new master, a new god, omnipotent money. The golden calf, once again, trampled the world underfoot. For its sake, man was capable of any vileness. It was a battle for the very future of the planet. Humanity had fallen victim to the democratic electoral system created by the Greeks. 2.5 millennia ago, a farcical model of social governance was invented, and it had long since exhausted itself. Though a great thinker once pointedly remarked, "Democracy is born from oligarchy, oligarchy from the power of money, and the power of money from greed," the cycle continued. Discontent with the ruling system was characteristic of every era, and the 21st century was no exception. Any criticism of the governing structure was perceived as positive. Remarkably, at the end of every civilization, silver-tongued populists and fraudulent innovators crawl up the pyramid of power. Seeing the ungovernable state of the globe, they ravage their own countries for profit, hoping to vanish, escape, and enjoy those blood-soaked riches afterward. An ignorant and lazy mass, thirsty for miracles, followed them, expecting a happy and carefree life without toil. The more ignorant the human, the more pretentious their demands. Incapable of sound judgment, their flat minds spun around an unattainable memory of the Garden of Eden, to live without care or labor. Yet the Lord had told him, "By the sweat of your brow you shall eat your bread." Instead, he stubbornly begged for a better life from the next thief in line. Humanity was entering a new era, the information civilization, where the masses were governed by unprecedented technologies. Man was controlled without direct contact. Visual and auditory messages lasting only a few milliseconds reached the subconscious, dictating behavior and directing human activity. In the 21st century, the mobile phone became the primary tool for mass control. Through seconds of meaningless, farcical content, it dictated desired directions to the subconscious of individuals devoid of judgment. It was no longer necessary to please the masses like a jester. They were as controllable as a trained dog through the device grafted to their lives. Eventually, several powerful empires reached an agreement and established a central government, CG. This new structure regulated interstate relations, ensuring peaceful coexistence. The farces known as elections vanished. People were happy. There was a general authority providing a carefree life. Life proceeded without tremors, until the day the CG created the first Homo Quantus. Initially, they both existed and did not. Appearing in human form consumed immense cosmic energy, so Homo Quantus, HQ, endowed itself with the ability to become visible only at the necessary moment. When the first HQ was announced, humanity was in unspeakable jubilation. Finally, a complete human had been birthed, without nationality, without parental traits, and without genes complexes. An omnipotent being was born. The biological niche of Homo sapiens was inherently restricted, tethered to a specific environment. The emergence of Homo quantus, however, unlocked a realm of boundless possibilities. A quantum companion enveloped a human in a protective membrane, allowing them to descend into the Mariana Trench or ascend Everest's peak without a spacesuit or peril. Movement was no longer constrained. Man began to perceive himself as equal to God. He became a new Nebuchadnezzar. As HQ flourished, humans withdrew from complex tasks. All hazardous labor was entrusted to this new species. HQ became an elite class, eventually becoming the pioneers of life support on Earth. People were blissful. There was nothing left for them to do. Everything was handled on their behalf. Humanity surrendered to pure entertainment. When civilizational cataclysms occur, culture becomes the servant of decaying morality. As Theodore Adorno noted, art becomes a branch of the entertainment industry. Analysis or thought-provoking activity interested no one. Man had devolved into a consumerist animal. The CG focused on show business and sports, where HQ surpassed humanity many times over. In the centuries that followed, human society became two-tiered. Homo sapiens became a burden to society, useful for nothing, occupied only with consumption. The CG suggested that Homo sapiens enter a state of honorable retirement. Initially, man was content to take responsibility for nothing. But laws tightened. Human movement was restricted. Special reservations and sanctuaries were constructed. The old human species was relocated there, surrendered entirely to the luxury of idleness. These sanctuaries were horrific territories. There is no creature more terrifying than a human existing without purpose. Constant clashes erupted as people started to prey upon one another, destroying each other for pleasure. To restrain them, the CG issued a decree. All participants in a clash were reduced to elementary particles and stored in quantum vessels until the true culprit was identified. The offender was never reanimated but scattered into the infinite void. It was a cruel law, yet a futile one. The clashes persisted. Finally, after extensive calculations, the CG published a new law. The Earth can only develop if a single species remains upon it. The perfect species, Homo quantus. For the sake of the planet's future, it was decided to dismantle the remaining Homo sapiens into elementary particles, to be stored in capsules until a favorable planet was discovered. And he opened the door. Homo quantus had come for him.